This morning on ITV, once again, on your dialing station, broadcasting live from Pape Hill, here in Abuja. And we value you people out there, our teaming viewers. We are moving to the second segment of this discourse this morning on nationalism and you. We're going to be taking a look at who take the lead in restructuring of Nigeria between the executive and the legislature. And we have a political strategist and juggernaut with us to examine this morning. Alhaji Yusuf Dabo Dantale. Nationalism and you.
It is my responsibility to build my nation.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Recently, some people came to pay a visit to President Muhammadu Buhari, and while he was responding to their call and demand for restructuring of Nigeria, he said, as soon as the National Assembly passed the bill on restructuring, I will not waste time to assent it. Riding upon that, who should take the lead between the executive and the legislature in restructuring Nigeria?
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, listeners. I want to look at it in a very commonsensical angle. Let's look at, I want to use the analogy of a vehicle, for instance. For a vehicle, there is a manufacturer, there is a driver, and there is a technician or a mechanic. We take the legislative arm of the government as the manufacturers of the vehicle, which is the constitution, the driving force of the entire process of the society. Then we look at the executive as the drivers that drive the vehicle manufactured by the legislature, and then the judicial arm of government as the mechanic who studies the owner's manual that comes with the vehicle from the manufacturers, like that. Of course, there's supposed to be synergy among the three units, but if it comes to restructuring, because when you design a car, you design the construction, you design the structure, it is stated the number of passengers the car should carry, the capacity of the vehicle, what it should do, and all that. So the driver drives the vehicle within the framework, the capacity of that vehicle. And then the mechanic studies the owner's manual and then fix the vehicle based on the instructions or the modus vivendi of the manufacturers. So if there is anything to be done to the structure of that vehicle, to the size of that vehicle, it is purely within the primary responsibility of the legislature to do that. But that does not mean the driver, which is the executive, or the mechanic, which is the judiciary, cannot push in the idea or the need for such restructuring to the legislature. But primarily, it should be the responsibility of the legislature to take the lead when it comes to restructuring of a society.
Taking from your analogy, why is it that persistently the call has been directly more ferocious against the presidency or the president than the legislature, than lobbying the legislature to do it?
Thank you very much. Recently, we were at the Senate in respect of review of the Constitution. We came in as political parties to bring in our own inputs, and other sectors of the society, everybody brought in the stakeholders, let me say, they brought in their own input to. And then of all the things I listened to, I didn't hear anything about maybe secession, or maybe I didn't hear anything about secession. Most of these agitations about I want to break away, I want to have my own nation. So, and all the senators representing these respective zones were present there. So why is any of this thing not coming in? Because, for instance, let me go back to the analogy of the vehicle. So when you make well, after designing this vehicle, you have your ears to the ground to say, okay, if this vehicle is performing well, okay, if there's any need to change anything in the course of what you did. But nobody is talking from the legislative arm of the government. I expect that they are, as the primary agents of restructuring or the constitution, they should be able to say, okay, this is what is coming in, the feedback from our people, from our constituents, both at the lower and upper chambers. But nobody is making this in, and then I think it's misdirected.
Are they screening those agitations out, or is it that it is not a representation of the block of Nigerian society?
I don't think anybody is screening anything out, because everybody was, all the stakeholders, the society was there, the civil society is there, the political parties were there, labor union was represented.
Because the legislature are the paramount representative of the people.
Yes.
Constituencies by constituency,
yes.
constituency by constituency.
Yes.
So if there are any agitations for restructuring that are grounded in the people, then it should reflect in their submission.
Thank you so much. So that's why I think there is a misplacement. There's a misdirection. Because I don't see what the president can only send in the idea, okay, or introduce or inform the legislature this is what is happening, but primarily it should be within the purview of the legislative arm to champion this.
Are you saying that it is a misplacement of approach for people to be approaching the president and giving ultimatum to president that if you don't restructure the country within the so period of time, we will do this? How does this relate to your analogy?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's a misplacement. Well, number one, for every state has 3 senatorial district zones, and then these senatorial districts are broken down to constituents, about 9 constituents. So what it means is that these people are closer to the people. So they should, from their respective zones, bring in this feedback from the people into the system. Yes, the president can, as a father of the nation, equally fine. He can send this thing into the system, that this is what is coming to me, or this is what came to me from the people. But I still believe it should be originated by the legislative arm of the government.
Before now, the Olusegun Obasanjo administration, democratic administration, initiated a political discourse. Nigerians were excited and thought it would lead to some form of restructuring or constitutional amendment. That came and gone. Jonathan came, former President Jonathan came, initiated another one, and the entire thing came and gone like that. What is the failure? What is the National Assembly doing right or doing wrong in getting all this in place, so that these agitations for restructuring will be a thing of the past?
Thank you so much. I believe that the government or the people in government are far from the people they represent. No, most of them do not really. If you look at the way it is a class on its own, it's a political office holding in Nigeria. If you look at it meticulously, it's more of people going to serve their own personal interests than the interests of the common man that they represent. Today, at times you find it difficult to even distinguish between the functions of the executive and that of the legislature. You see people go to the legislature, ask them for roads, ask them for, they take over the functions of the executive through things that they call a constituency project. I don't really understand what constituency project is. This I think is supposed to be purely within the purview of the executive, in as much as there are checks and
as a player
balances
in the political spectrum,
yes,
as a leader of political party, and as a secretary to the Inter-Party Advisory Council. How would you view the proactiveness of the legislature in addressing issues of concerns of Nigerians within this 22 years of our democracy. How would you rate it?
Is it fine? We cannot condemn everything in totality. They are trying, but I think they have not done enough, or they are not doing enough. There is this belief that the Nigerian legislature is a resting place for retired governors and all that. We hear this.
Because we have been crying that the 1990 Constitution, as amended, is faulty, and 22 years running in a democratic setting, and we have not been able to carry out comprehensive overhaul of the Constitution. So,
now let's look at what happened. Let's look at what happened recently. The directive from the presidency to that accounts of local government should be credited directly to enable the local government, which is the third tier of government, to perform better than it is. So what that means is that the local government is within the pocket of some governors. This joint account, if you go to my state, for instance, the local government is just zero. Just people boys that are loyal to the governors are people that are placed to do what they do, and then what the governors want them to do. Then two, this thing called State Electoral Commission is evil. So if INEC is conducting election for the presidency, governorship election, House of Reps and Senate, what is stopping INEC from conducting election at the local government? And today in the Federal Capital Territory, INEC conducts the election for municipal area councils. So this State Electoral Commission is one of the major problems we have that must be scrapped. And I think maybe the National Assembly is being, I don't know, is being influenced into looking away from this thing by their respective governors to handle these things. So then the president coming in to say, okay, your governors are giving you the money, or we are paying the money into your account. If you like, go and give it to the governors.
The concern is that the or rather what people say is that the 1999 Constitution did not empower the local government as the third tier of governance, as it empowered the state and things of that nature. So taking this into consideration, taking into consideration that the primary duty of the legislature is to make law in order that there may be effective governance. But today in Nigeria, because of the dysfunctionality being experienced at the local government level, there seems to be so many ungoverned spaces, which is now breeding lawlessness at a very fast rate. What should the National Assembly do, and how do we call them to do the right thing from the table of Inter-Party Advisory Council?
Thank you. Today is Thursday. 2 weeks ago, exactly 2 weeks ago, there was a stakeholders interaction with INEC, and all the political parties were present, and we tried to make it a duty upon ourselves. And then we emphasize and then try to pressurize the major political parties who are predominantly occupying the National Assembly, the PDP and the APC. Secondus was there, and the APC was represented by the senator who is acting as the national secretary. Like, if you have all your representatives, and if you of us who are representative, but you have predominant majority of them, you should be able to tell them, because every member of the assembly is a product of one political party or the other. So we should be able to pressurize them into assenting or facilitating or fast-tracking the process of passing these bills into law to ensure that we have a better polity. So I think the Party Advisory Council is doing its own. We have sent what we are supposed to send in to the National Assembly, and we are still talking to the appropriate quarters in the National Assembly.
As a politician and a practitioner in politics, what nature, color, and character of restructuring do you envisage?
Even before I joined, I'm a farmer, and before I joined politics, I've always looked at it this way: that the fact that you have one government that is too strong at the center is not really fine. But if you empower government at the regions to contribute to the center, I think it is better, and it will awaken the sleepiness of some persons who believe that at the end of the month something must come, whether I do something or I don't do anything, something must come from the center called allocation, okay, that you will receive and do what you want to do, and you spend it and nobody asks questions. But if you are sourcing for this thing, because I believe every part of Nigeria is blessed with its own resource, human and material, that we can exploit. But because we believe that this thing is coming from the center and it must come every month, we are so relaxed, and then we don't exploit what God has given us naturally. So I am of the opinion that we should devolve power, and we should strengthen the regions more than it is now, because the regions are weak and cannot do anything.
When you are talking about strengthening the region, are you talking about the 6th geopolitical zone as a region, or the primary regions we have, the north, east, and west? Because now it appears that the federating units are the states.
Number one, I think
because once upon a time, the regions were the federating units, but today the states are the federating units.
I think the states and the local government should be strengthened more, especially the local government that have direct interface with the people.
So when you're talking about restructuring, you have federalism, you have fiscal federalism, then you have devolution of power. All of these things are not the same.
You see, when we say structure, it depends on how we look at it. Yes. When we want to restructure, for instance, look at security. If you look at the appointment of INEC chairman, if you look at the appointment of Inspector General of Police, okay, if you look at the appointment of the Attorney General of Police, all these things are vested in the office of the president. Okay. Are you getting me? So if you establish state police, for instance, and then you put the office of who becomes the commissioner of police, or who becomes the inspector general of police, in the hands of Nigerians to vote these offices. You understand? You have your state police, fine, but for anybody to become the commissioner of police of that state, he has to be voted. You have INEC chairman, okay, fine. If anybody is becoming the chairman of INEC, that is their umpire for who becomes what in any of the political offices in Nigeria, that office should be voted for. This is the kind of restructuring that I am talking about. So who becomes the judiciary, the head of the judiciary, like the Supreme Court judge, the Attorney General of the Federation, that office should be separated from the office of the Minister of Justice, so that it won't be political. Who becomes the Attorney General of the Federation, that office should be voted for. This is the kind of restructuring I am talking about.
To assert their independence.
Thank you very much.
Taking a cue from that. Taking a cue from that. The federating unit.
Then I'm not stopping you. So when you have the state police, for instance, now you send a policeman from here to Imo, or you send a policeman from here to Delta, for instance. He won't be able to know well or better than the man who is resident or who is an indigent of that place. But if the indigents, maybe the Urobos, the Ijos, the Ishekiri, they come together to vote one person, okay, maybe the commissioner of police is from Urobo, the other area officers, okay, this person is from there.
Let's take a look at this. The agitation for restructuring becomes louder. And that was why Obasanjo, going his second term, did political conference. Jonathan, going to round up his first term, did political conference. And the moment these conferences are done, the entire recommendations, resolutions, and the rest of it are stuck up in 5 cabinets wherever, and the agitations goes down until another emerges and the rest of it. Are we playing politics with our lives? Are we deceiving Nigeria? Is restructuring actually the problem?
Thank you so much. I like your program, Nationalism and You. The spirit of nationalism among Nigerians is very, very weak. And this is because we allow ethnicity, we allow religious sentiment, we allow and other affiliations to affect our institutions. They affect the governance or the running of government in Nigeria. So everybody believes it is only when your person become, and this is because these offices are too strong and they are too lucrative. Look at the remuneration for elective offices, for instance, in Nigeria is highly outrageous. And there's one vote that goes to the governor called security vote that nobody accounts for. It just goes there and you spend the way you want. So if at all the lucrativity of these offices is reduced and people go to serve, I think it will reduce most of these agitations, because the moment you get there, you become super rich, and when you become super rich, you become detached from the people, and it's just your immediate family, your friends and in-laws. So that is why I think people call for some of these things, because the common man in the south, the common man in the north is suffering the same fate. But a few persons will plant the seed of ethnicity and religion to say, okay, because this person belongs to this religion, or that person belongs to, that's why you are not getting this, or that's why you are not getting that. If you go to Lagos today, the poor man on the street of Lagos live under the bridge. In Abuja here, the Hausa ones live under the bridge. If you go to Maiduguri, the same thing, the poor man suffer the same fate. So it is not about nobody. I don't think that any particular tribe or any particular zone is deprived anything. Poverty is just there. It's a national problem. The problems that we are all crying for is a national, but it is the ability of each zone to accommodate some of these things that is the problem. The level of patience and tolerance. Maybe the North is not talking because Buhari is the president today as it is, and then if we say it, okay, let's just leave it. But the South is saying because it's not the president is not from the South. Maybe by the time the presidency goes to the South again, okay, the North will come and say, okay, maybe it's because the president is from here. So I think what needs to be done in the course of this restructuring should be that the lucrativity of these offices should be, let people go and serve. If today you are paying the senators the same thing that gets to the lecturers or the professors in the university, it will only attract quality service. People that will come and people that go to serve. But today you have governors handpicking their servants, their houseboys, okay, to political office because all they want is loyalty, okay, so that they can perpetuate whatever their individual, their personal interests are in power. But if that is not there,
what is the key to breaking this cycle? This cycle that is empowering infinitesimal, powerful few and impoverishing the larger society.
Thank you. That is why I advocate for absolute autonomy for the tiers of government and for the arms of government. If the state assembly is autonomous, that can operate on its own, the judiciary is autonomous, the local government is autonomous, the national is autonomous, everything will flow. There will be proper checks and balances.
What are you people as political class and as people working in an organ that encompasses the political parties? What are you people doing to hasten the processes of constitutional amendment? Because it has taken 22 years of our democracy. We are still complaining of the defaults in 1999 constitutions as amended.
Okay, last month we had an engagement sponsored by International Research Institute, IRI here, right. And then a program sponsored by NIPS from last year to now. And the outcome of that project is a document which we have sent for both Electoral Act amendment and the constitutional amendment itself. These books were presented to to the National Assembly, the committees responsible for these functions. And then last 2 weeks, I told you, there was an interface, okay, organized by INEC. There's a quarterly interaction, INEC and political parties. All the political parties were represented, and IPAC took a position there, and they mandated all the political parties see that we influence our members in the National Assembly to ensure the speedy passage of the bills into law.
President Muhammadu Buhari says that neither religion nor ethnicity is our problem.
Yes.
What is your take?
I agree with him. Our problem is not religion. Our problem is not ethnicity. Why is it ethnicity? Now let me
But people are saying,
no,
you did not appoint people from here. You appoint all the people from here. You appoint people from here. You do not appoint from here, and that kind of a thing.
These things will continue. It's like, it's not, I still maintain it's not ethnicity. Okay, if you say problem of Nigeria as ethnicity, I am of, my father is from Hausa, okay, is from Kano. My mother is from Kogi State, okay, and maybe some days I will marry from the south. I'll marry an Igbo or Yoruba woman, okay, and we have a lot of us like that who are who intermarried, and then you have you understand. I don't know who my children are going to. Maybe my daughter will go and marry Yoruba. I won't stop her if she's going to do that. So if you look at it, it is not about, and everybody is in every ethnic group. And every ethnic group belongs to every religion in this country. So it's not about religion. It's about corruption. It's about believing in Nigeria. It's about entrenching the spirit of nationalism in us. It's about believing that we must have in Nigeria. Today, if you go to a filling station to buy fuel, nobody will ask you what language you speak. If you speak Hausa, or if you speak Yoruba, or you speak Ibibio. No. What the only language that the man there hears is the Naira. If you go to school to pay school fees or hospital, the language they understand is pay the bill. So it's not about the political affiliation, the parties you belong. Okay, now look at what is happening in Nigeria. All the people in APC today were the same people were accused of corruption. Were accused of destroying Nigeria in PDP yesterday. But the moment, and the same APC that accused these people yesterday is welcoming them, okay, and giving them golden opportunity. That this, now the moment you come in, you become a saint, because now you are wearing the regalia of APC. Most of the people in APC yesterday that have gone back to the PDP that was bad yesterday, and those that were in PDP yesterday that were criminals are back in APC as saints. Yeah, are you getting me? So I think what we need more is enlightenment, and then the education. Let education be accessible to the common man so that we can be independent, because as long as we don't have independence of education, and the common man cannot access quality education, we will still continue to have problems. So I will appeal to us and those in power to see how, as much as possible, we can invest more in education and have a lot of our population accessing quality education.
Is it the conventional education? Is it the conventional education that is the problem, or political education?
Both. Because even the people in power, for instance, some of them don't even know why they are there. Just like I said earlier, you will go to State House of Assembly, 70 to 80% of the people that are in this assembly are just boys to the governor. Maybe his former driver, maybe his security aide, you understand, maybe his messenger. They are there because he has the power to put them there. He has the power to control the security of the state. You understand? He influenced the system to ensure that these people are there. So they are not people, people are not allowed to choose who govern them, especially at the local level. You know, in Nigeria, there's no local government election, but the timetable will come out and say, okay, we're having an election. This party A, party B coming out. But you know, it is the government in power in that state that determine who becomes the local government chairman of this local government and the council of this. So as long as that continues, we cannot get it right.
You talked severally about the governors retiring into the National Assembly.
Yes.
How have this affected the processes of lawmaking?
Thank you. You see, ordinarily,
yes,
the legislative arm of government is supposed to be a house, a warehouse for nationalists, a warehouse for intelligentsias, a warehouse for people who believe that this is our home, we must get it right. But the National Assembly is populated by people that are too powerful, people that are too rich. You have one senator who can buy 10, 20 senators, say, this is what I want done. You understand? And he can influence it because of power. It's not that all of them are, but a few of them are too powerful that the ordinary senator there who have not gone through some of this process does not have the power to influence the decision of this person. You get? Yes. So that is what I mean.
Now,
and it has become a trend,
yes,
that all governors, the moment you serve the 2 terms, the next place you want to go to is to go to the Senate and rest.
Isn't that criminal systemic manipulation?
I won't say that, but you can say that it is not helping the system. What it means is that it is more of usurpation of the system for their personal interest. So fine, if you say criminal, if you use the word criminality, I think it still goes, but I won't say that. I won't agree with you 100%.
Obviously, the various agitations, some of them being taken to the extreme of demanding for segmented independent nations, could be traceable to this attitude and lack of proactive interventions of the legislative arms of government, not only at the national level, but even at the state level. Because if the state houses of assembly decided to ensure there a level of independence that guarantee the local government to function, since the 1999 Constitution as amended confers on the state the power to control and structure the working of the local government and things of that nature. Don't you think it is high time that our legislature, particularly at the national level, should move fast to pass a legislation that can help to remold the system to serve our people? Because a drastic situation calls for drastic measure.
The thing is, these agitations, to me, they are only indicators, just like you said. They are indicating that so many things are wrong with the socio-economic and political arrangement. Let's even look at the crime rate, the conventional crime, this kidnapping, this
no matter how we describe it, there are indicators that something is wrong. Will that not supposed to be a springboard for our legislature to become sleepless, lost their night in order to promulgate, or what do you call it, legislate on how to get exit on this?
Ideally, you are correct. That is what is supposed. This is supposed to trigger action, of course. But when some people feel they are very comfortable, they have all it takes, they have the protection, okay, for now, they think they have. But the thing is getting closer to us. Is a lot of governors now are in Abuja. They don't go to their states anymore. They run their states from Abuja. We know a few governors who have moved in here.
Criminal even possess the audacity to now blockade a convoy of a governor.
Yes.
Injuring the security. Who is safe?
Yes.
So how do we way forward from here?
The thing now, I want to first say INEC is trying to see that we have a better electioneering in Nigeria with the new innovations that there. I just pray, just like we said 2 weeks ago, that the National Assembly will fast track the passage of these bills, okay, into law to enable INEC function properly, especially with the use of electronic gadgets for electioneering, because I strongly have confidence in some of the things that INEC is doing currently. So if that is done, and we'll continue to appeal, we'll continue to push to ensure that these things are done. So if that is done, then that will inject more sanity into the system, because people will be able to compare more equitably, more fairly, to have themselves in government. And then what that means is that the interest of the people will take over more than the interest of a few, if that is done. So I am on the same page with you on this. So the National Assembly and even the State Assembly, in as much as they are still within the pockets of some of the governors or most of the governors, should see that the interest of the people, because they will come back some days back to live with us as common men today.
The flood of the campaign.
Yes.
Do you have a concern that we
might
be racing for a one-party system?
It is very wrong. It is very wrong. That tells you the level of corruption too in the system. And this is one of the things. Now election is here. You cannot even say, because what the law says is you defect where there are obvious crises in your party, and not just crises where there are factions. Okay, but if you look at what is like in my own party, for instance, most of all the House of Assembly members that we have, and they went in without any problem in the party. The party is just there; they just move in. So we cannot explain what is happening, but until the enabling laws are strengthened to ensure that some of these things are discouraged, something is wrong.
But we have some countries in the world that are practicing democracy with one-party system. If we opted for that, is anything wrong with that?
Everything is wrong with it. Everything is wrong with it. What is democracy in the first? Democracy is about different people, different beliefs, different cultural background coming in to agree as one to administer, to elect people who will serve their interests and administer the society for those interests that they were elected for. Okay, so you are a Christian, I am a Muslim. Okay, we have a little differences, but our ability to fuse these differences in one whole, which is government, is what makes us a people.
Very well.
You understand? Yes.
Very well, but so, let me now paraphrase that question. It appears that in Nigeria, people don't know when to stop politicking and when to start governing. So, from the day you lost power, you become outrageously antagonistic with the intention to pull down the person that is in power. Is this what multi-party democracy ought to be?
In Nigeria, politics is business. Majority of those you find in political office have no other business apart from politics. That is the first business they started. Somebody will graduate today, the next thing is a politician. Somebody just have, after leaving secondary school, the next thing, this institution is supposed to be for persons who have succeeded in their individual capacity, either as a trader, either as a mechanic, either as a lawyer, either as a judge. At least you have some level of experience that will equip you for this leadership. But here we don't have. The system itself is the experience. So since you have gone there, okay, without any experience, without any form of business or anything you do, okay, that you have succeeded or failed in before getting there, you want to remain there forever. And because you want to remain there, you will ensure that the system will work to favor you. So that is the question behind our democracy. Comparing this democracy to those democracies of the world, how outrageous are those democracies? What is the salary of the senator in Britain, for instance, or in the United States, for instance, compared to the senator, the salaries and allowances of the senator in Nigeria? This is the problem. So, and that is why our democracy is. So if we must get it right, we have to be able to slash the lucrativity associated with these offices.
You are welcome to Nationalism and You. What is your last message to Nigeria?
My last message is simple. We are better as Nigerians. Yes, we have our differences. We have a lot of discontent across the land, but I think it is better for us to dialogue, come together and discuss what goes to who, when, and how, than wanting to set Nigeria on fire. Because if you set Nigeria on fire, all of us will be, nobody will be the loser, nobody will be the winner. We are better as Nigerians, and it is better for us to resort to dialogue than, because whatever it is, even if we go to war, we'll still come back to the table to stop the war.
We have been talking with Alhaji Yusuf Dabo Mantale, the chairman of APM and secretary, Inter-Party Advisory Council. Thank you very much for coming, and we hope you will avail us the privilege of having you whenever we call on you.
You're welcome.
Again.
Thank you so much, and I'm proud of this program, Nationalism and You, and I think what we really need as Nigeria is that a very strong spirit of nationalism, that we believe that our flag should speak for us.
We are still on This Morning on ITV. Don't go away. Thank you very much for always being there for us, because it is because of you that we are here, and we will always be here for you. Nationalism and you, whomsoever you may be, whatever position you occupied, corporate, individual, and public, please walk with love, devotion, and patriotism, and let us build a super Nigerian nation that serves all. Thank you.